Aye, shepherd's pie, greetings from the Philippines. We're back in the middle of a monsoon or a cyclone or whatever they call them over there, or over here even. I can't speak today. I'm so excited because I've got a celebrity here. I've got Brent Trippin of Brent's Gone Trippin channel. So I'm a bit awestruck, and we got the weather going on over here with the rain, but we will plough on regardless. So I'm coming at you live from the Kingswick, which is in Dumaguete City. Now, if anyone is in Dumaguete, they do a quiz night here on a Wednesday night, hosted by yours truly. So if you want to come down here and enjoy the music quiz, you'll be very welcome. Anyway, that's enough about my promoting the Kingswick. It's a bloody marvellous bar, a wonderful hotel. You should get yourself down here any day of the week, and they're not paying me for that, honestly. So, here we go, without any further ado. Sitting down with my new friend Brent. I say he's got a wonderful channel, Brent's Trippin. We will put the link in at the bottom of the description so you can check over there. I've been subscribed for a while. I strongly recommend you do too. But anyway, buckle up and enjoy the ride. Here we go. Thanks for sitting down with us, Brent.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Thanks for the plug. And I noticed the rain started right when you wanted to start.
Well, it did. It always does. These things are sent to try us. But it's the Philippines, and what they say, it's more fun in the Philippines.
That's right. That's right.
Everything's fun in the Philippines. So tell us a little bit about yourself, Brent. Where did it start? Where are you from, mate?
I'm from Oklahoma. I was actually born in Texas, or Wichita Falls. Lived in Iowa Park, Texas, till about junior high school. Moved to Oklahoma and been there ever since. Married, kids, divorced. Yeah, that's basically where I come from.
It's got a bit more to it than that, mate. It's like, tell us a bit about your childhood growing up, school and things.
Yeah, grew up on a farm, just rural Oklahoma. Just not much going on, but had a good childhood. Really enjoyed it.
What kind of farm was it?
Raised cattle, wheat, hay.
So can you do that lassoing and all that kind of stuff, can you?
Can I do what?
The lassoing?
Lassoing? No, I'm not a cowboy, I wouldn't say. I do my cowboying from a four-wheeler more than a horse. Them horses don't get along too good. Like I say, yeah, grew up, was around it all my life, and then got married when I was right out of high school. I was 18 years old. Went to work as a mechanic for a truck line there in my hometown, Jill Scott Truck Line. Worked there for 5 years.
Did you enjoy that?
Did I enjoy it? Yeah. Just because of the people. But it was one of those jobs that wasn't ever going to go anywhere, and it was one of them.
What about going up on the farm? Did you enjoy that?
Yeah. I really enjoyed it.
But you didn't have the urge to be a farmer. I mean,
yeah. Matter of fact, if you get a little deeper in my story, we
I'll shut up and let you go.
Okay. Well, yeah, I joined the military about 6 or 7 months probably after I was married. I guess probably 7 months after I was married. Joined the National Guard. Just did the weekend warrior deal for, I guess, probably 5 years, I guess. Well, I know it was because they made me, after 9/11, they made me re-enlist because I was about out of time. We got called up, and I didn't have a year left on my contract, so they made me, or I wouldn't have done 9. I signed up for 6.
So hold on a second. So when you were working as a mechanic for 5 years, and then what, you joined the reserves at the same time?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and they was good about it. Well, I guess it's the law, but they actually let me go to basic training and go through all my training. And when I got back, my job was waiting on me.
What were you doing?
Huh?
What were you doing in the army?
I was a 13 Mach MLRS. It's a multiple launch rocket system. It's a tank that shoots ATACMS rockets or missiles.
Oh, the ATACMS. I've heard about those in Ukraine.
But only time we really did that, we'd go to the field once a month, and there at Fort Sill, and play Army. When we was called up and stuff, never did that. Had to stay qualified, but we just did Homeland Security. Half of us went to Fort Sill, and they divided us up. The other half went to Colorado, and I stayed at Fort Sill, where we had to keep up with our annual training. Didn't have to, but our higher brass thought that that would really look good on us if we did. So unnecessarily more work than we needed to do, but we did. We kept up all our qualifications and that kind of stuff.
So the 9 years you did in the military, that was in National Guard, or we call it the reserves, yeah?
Yeah.
And did you have to deploy at all? Did they send you overseas?
No, I never did. Matter of fact, a year after I got out, they all had to go to Iraq, but I never did. I did the 2002 to 2003 in like I say, Fort Sill, and in 2005, I spent like 3 months after Hurricane Katrina in that mess of New Orleans, and then as soon as I got back from New Orleans, I had about 2 months left on my enlistment, and that was the end for me. They tried to offer me a bonus to stay in. No,
You had enough.
I'm done. I'm done. And then, but I don't know. It's I have mixed feelings. A lot of my buddies, like I say, about a year after I got out, they all went to Iraq. Everybody made it home. They got some pretty cool stories about it, and I don't know. It would have sucked when you're there, but it would have been pretty cool to have
Something
on
to talk about.
Yeah, something. I'm this and that, but yeah. I didn't much enjoy the military life, so like I said, I wouldn't re-up for the 3 years when I did if they would have let me just fill out my contract.
So because this intrigues me about the you call it National Guard, don't you? We call it the reserves in the UK.
Well, we got both. We got National Guard and Reserve.
Oh, they're different, are they?
Yeah.
Oh, what's the difference?
The National Guard's more of a stateside deal, so every state has its own.
Okay.
And then you've got your Army Reserves. Same training as the regular Army. Same training as the Reserves. You know, only time you hear the difference of that is when it's time to eat. They check your name off the list. You know, you have to holler out you. They'll say National Guard and.
But you make a huge, because I mean, when I was in the Gulf in the Air Force, it amazed me because we worked with the Air Force Police, SAF I think they call them, it's a long time ago, but good 50-60% of them were all reservists or they were National Guard. They weren't full-time, but they were doing like, long-term deployments. So a lot of them were prison officers.
Well, I got some of that in my future too. So. But yeah, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed that part of it because right after, you go to basic and AIT, where you learn. My case was to be a 13 Mike.
But did you choose that?
Yeah, I choose.
So you volunteered for a thing.
I chose that because the unit. I'm sorry. Unit closest to me. That's what they was. They was a field artillery unit. So you
okay, but you do get to choose. They don't just say
you get to choose.
Here.
You could be in commo. You could be crew member like I was. You could be in the kitchen. There's all kinds of jobs. Okay. But our main deal was MLRS. So that's
interesting.
Pick a job in the Army that has something to do with that. Of course, like I say, you have to feed them. You have to. So you could have been. They need commo. They need. There's tankers involved. There's other. You could have picked any of those MOSs as long as it had something to do with what your unit does.
And what happens if you choose? Because I'm very bitter about it. In fact, I was in the RAF Police. I didn't want to be in the RAF Police, but they forced me into going into the RAF Police. I wanted to be a fireman. But it was like I'd have to wait 2 years to be a fireman, or I could be a policeman next week.
Well,
you know what I mean? So how does that work if you want to be something? They make it harder, or?
Yes and no. And when I was concerned, I could have picked from a lot of different jobs. I went for the one with the most money offered at the time. They give enlistment bonuses, or different jobs offer different amounts. So I think that was another. They needed crew members at the time.
So they were pushing.
Yeah. So they push you to be what they want you to be without you even knowing it.
Yeah, exactly, 100%.
And I think a lot has to do with the test too. If you test whatever, start out, you could be a regular cannon cocker, or you could be that's what we call them.
So what did you do after that then?
Well, I went to, like I say, at the same time I worked for Jewett Scott Truck Line, was a mechanic there, did 5 years there, and then I went to work for a prison.
Right, there we go.
Medium security prison there, Oklahoma State Reformatory. Did that training. Actually only worked there for 6 months, 6 or 7, maybe maybe something like that. And a farm job came available, still at the prison, but two different companies. There's the Department of Corrections has the security side, and I worked for Agri Services, which was totally separate, but we still had to play by the DOC's rules. So I did that for 15 years, and
15 years.
15 years.
So that was your main career.
That was my main, yeah.
So how did you enjoy that then?
I enjoyed it. I had an awesome boss. It was one of them deals. The day I got hired, he told me if I ever hear you missing one of your kids' sporting events or anything that, you'll have me to deal with. He said, I don't care how long it lasts or whatever, you will be there. So everything was awesome.
Wonderful.
I had encouraged to make sure I was there for anything. I just really understanding. It didn't matter if it was a program at school or a sporting event or whatever. And all my kids were into sports, and so.
So why was that so good then? Because I watch a lot of I don't know why, I'm obsessed with prison series like, Banged Up Abroad, and there's a couple I love watching the YouTube documentaries on that. Yep. And you get the impression that the job's dangerous and it's a lot of stress and they're understaffed. Is that because you were in a medium prison, or is that because you were in Oklahoma, or what?
No, I think it's a lot of that. See, on when I was just a regular correctional officer for the 6 or 8 months, whatever it was that I was actually, it could be dangerous. I was in there with the shitheads, with the dangerous. But when you're on the farm, you only work. We had a minimum security prison sitting right outside the gate. So I got like probably all the what you might call trustees or whatever. They was all minimum security. So, and it was the farm was the highest paying job at the prison. So it was definitely.
So they were on best behavior.
Yes, yes. And I think we paid 35 cents an hour, and that was the top pay at the time. So.
Probably a Philippines rate.
Yeah. No doubt. They had them enough to get canteen at the end of the month. They'd have a whole laundry bag full of.
What was the conditions like in the prisons for the prisoners? Was it?
It was prison. It was mainly not on the minimum side. Minimum side was like 100-man pods. You had or 50-man pods. It was built like an X, so you had 4 different pods, but they'd have 50 in each room. So minimum was 200 inmates right across the fence. They had like 1,200 in multiple, call them A unit, B unit, C unit, all the way to G unit. And they was all the X. They'd only hold 160 inmates, except for G unit, which was the honor dorm of the medium side inmates, and it would hold 200. But we had some dangerous situations, but it was usually inmate on inmate. Before I went to work there, a couple of years before I went to work, they did have 2 officers get stabbed. One of them died, and of course they changed all the rules. You're not allowed to do this no more. You're not allowed to do that anymore. They even built new gates to where you can't enter the pods the same way. So went through a lot, but me personally, I never, if the hair don't stand up on the back of your neck when you go to count, because you're walking in there with 40 inmates, they can have you at any time. You got a clipboard, you have no weapon, you might have a baton, but if they want you, they're yours.
So let me ask you a question then, because obviously you did 15 years, you enjoyed it. You said your boss was marvellous, but that's because you were working on the farm. If you hadn't gone to the farm and you'd stayed inside like a regular correction officer, how long do you reckon you'd lasted in that? Would you have stuck it out for the 15 years, or would you have gone?
Yeah. I would have stuck it. It would have been a whole different ball game. That you're pretty much on shift work when you're a correctional officer. You rotate every year, but it's I would have missed a lot of stuff. Sorry about that. I would have lost I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of. I had some pretty good hours. We worked like 7 to 3:30, so it was a
nice.
It made me not want to look for another job, but it also
you did 15 years. You must have liked it, yeah.
Right. It also made me fat and lazy too. So
sounds like a dream job.
Yeah.
So what age were you then when you finished there? The 15. What would that have taken you to?
Let's see, probably 38 maybe.
Right.
Let's see. something like that, somewhere.
Right, so 30, late 30s, early 40s. What did you do next?
I went to work for myself. I bought me a skid loader, all kinds of attachments, and I had a farm at this time too. I still got the farm, but I don't run any cows or nothing now. Bought me a skid steer, went to work, kind of was going to clear trees and that kind of stuff, and I wound up somehow, I don't know how it happened, but kind of running it. It ran into. I started buying used cars and trucks, and I bought a lot of vehicles off the state of Oklahoma. They had a website where I could buy DOC vehicles or whatever, and made quite a bit of money with that. And next thing you know, I've got a junkyard. I'm selling car parts and using my skid steer to load or my track loader to load the vehicles and unload them off trailers. And yeah, it just turned into. But I was working for myself. The part about the farm, that about 10 years into it, my boss died, and we got a new boss, and things kind of got shook around, and it just wasn't the same place. We had.
That's why you left the prison.
That's why I left the prison. We had started out when I was hired, there was 7 of us, and when I left, there was 2 left, and they call it a hiring freeze. When you have a hiring freeze, even if somebody leaves, you can't hire them back. So we was totally depleted. I was doing 90% of the work that needed to be done, and I saw an opportunity, and I was like, it's scared to death, but at the same time I thought I want to try working for myself. And I knew in the back of my mind that if I, with the 15 years, I could have quit, and I wouldn't have got hired back on the farm, but I could have went back to security. They're always shorthanded, and they don't stay on a hiring freeze, even if, you know.
So why are they short-handed? Because people don't want to do the job, or because of the location, or?
Location, the job, it's just, and the pay. There's lots better deals out there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you had the scrapyard, was it just cars, or are you doing scrap?
Mostly trucks, and I dealt. It'd kind of go in waves. I started out just kind of collecting like old square body Chevys, and word got around, hey, if you need any parts for that, go holler at Brent, and so that's kind of the way it started out.
But it was just vehicles. It wasn't like scrap metal, or you weren't.
No. But at the same time, you accumulate so much of that I wound up scrapping and all that.
That's what I was going to ask you, because I'm amazed when you drive around the Philippines at times, you'll see that all these cars rusting away in that. There's a value to that. Why is no one doing anything with it?
Well, because it got so bad in the United States that they pay you about the same amount as it would to deliver one. So
is that right?
With fuel as high as it was, I would pile them up, and my plan was I was always going to have a crusher come crush them, but I always just kind of sold them off or traded them off before I ever. And right before I came here, I probably had 80 trucks. And like I say, I mainly dealt in trucks. And like I say, it's a rural community. People always, drive trucks where I'm from. I didn't know nothing about, the little foreign job cars. And hell, they don't break down anyway. So, but yeah, it was. I enjoyed working for myself. But
and how long did you do that for?
Probably 2016 to. Probably 5 years.
So we're taking rounds of the 43, 44, 45 mark now in your life?
Yeah. And I'm 47 now.
Okay, so is this when you started travelling?
2020 is when I started traveling.
Okay, and what made you do that then?
YouTube. YouTube, it really did. I was just watching videos and seeing it looked like paradise over here, and the cost of living. Mainly the cost of living and the back then the women. I say now I didn't come here for the women, but when I planned to come here, it was definitely for the women, But by the time I got to get over here, 5 years had passed. I was in a totally different frame of mind.
But you because your channel's a few years old, and it's like 4 years old, and you've been travelling around Mexico, and that's first.
Yeah,
so when I say you started travelling, had you already been going to Mexico before then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So before you started the channel, had you travelled much?
No, not at all.
So it's kind of new because I think
Yeah,
because you've been in the
yeah.
army, it was a new thing. You just suddenly
brand
decided
new, brand new to me. Yeah.
and you started off in Mexico.
Yep.
And how long was that? Like a few months at a time, or you were going
Yeah,
for a few
I
weeks?
would go there. The first trip I took, first time I'd left the country, I was gone for 2 months. Spent a summer in Cancun. Loved it. Fell in love with the beaches. And I don't know how it happened, but I used Airbnb. I got a room with a family, and they're still like family to this day.
Really?
Yeah. Just fell into some real good people, Brenda and her mom Alejandra, and after that, if I was going to Mexico, I was going to their house, and that's where I stayed. And
Okay, so it was mostly around Cancun where you did, you did logs and everything.
you can pretty much Cancun all the way to Playa del Carmen or Cozumel. But what I would do, I would make like a home base there at their house, and then if I wanted to go to Isla Mujeres for 3 or 4 days, I would just.
I'm smiling, but I've not heard of any of these places. But
Okay.
I'm sure some people, other people have. But you know, it's,
I fell in love with a little town there called Puerto Morelos. Just loved it down there. Just like a little village, sea village or whatever. Awesome snorkeling and just a beautiful place down there. So that's what. And the only reason I went there, and I've heard you say this too, it amazes me, but it was Philippines, Colombia, and Mexico was just one that I wound up going to because they was like the only country that didn't close down due to COVID.
Is that what it was?
That's what it was,
Yeah.
and there was no restrictions, no travel restrictions, and it was just I'm going somewhere, and that's where I went, right smack dab in the middle of COVID.
We'll get there in a minute because obviously I know you've been to Thailand, I know you've been to Vietnam, etc. But while we're in Mexico, how does it compare to the Philippines, for example?
Well, I see a lot of similarities, but there's a lot of differences. Where I was at around Cancun, of course, the cost of living is going to be higher. Not a whole lot. You can find deals in Cancun just like you can anywhere else, but the infrastructure's way better. And around there's a lot of money in Mexico. There's a lot of money, especially around Cancun. I'm talking about some of them places.
Well, Pablo Escobar was like the richest.
Yeah, in Colombia. I've never been to Colombia.
No, well, I'm saying it. I don't know the names.
But there's resorts that cost you more a night than I pay a month here. So there's not that. I wouldn't say there's not as much poverty there. It's just a different kind, I guess I should say.
Okay.
I don't know how to explain it, but I loved it there.
I know what you mean. I've been to Tijuana a couple of times. I did not like it.
I've never been.
But I've never been to
Okay.
Cancun. But I wouldn't recommend Tijuana. But I know Cancun is supposed to be a bit better. Food. What do you think of the food?
In Mexico, I like the food. It's hard to. Of course, when you're anywhere, after 2 months, you kind of you're used to what you're used to. So it's foreign food to you. After a while, you're like, if I gotta eat another taco, I'm gonna. But then you go home and 3 weeks later you're ready for a taco the way they had.
And the reason I ask is I lived in Vegas for 6 months, and the best Mexican food I've ever had is in Las Vegas. Whenever you went down to San Diego and crossed the border into God, the food was disappointing compared to what it was. The chicken was stringy, the avocado was like.
Well, that's like me when I'm in the States and I go to a real Italian food place for spaghetti. I can't stand it. It's not the way.
It's not the way.
Exactly. Until it's not a can of Hunt's and some hamburger meat. It's.
Okay, so where did you go after Mexico?
Here.
Philippines was your next stop.
Philippines was my next stop. Like I say, I played with.
Whereabouts? Was it here or in Dumaguete or?
I flew into Manila, stayed in Makati for 2 or 3 nights. I think on the 3rd day, I was like, I got to get the hell out of here, and I flew straight to Dumaguete and kind of based out of here. Jumped around all over Dumaguete. Never did live in one particular place over a week or 2 maybe. But like I say, done a lot of jumping and skipping around. That was one of the things that I liked is because I could come here and basically anywhere you go, you can find a room for $20 a night. So I kind of budgeted rent at $600 and thought as long as I hit around 1,000 pesos.
$600 a lot for it. You get, I bet you haven't paid that yet, have you?
Well, yeah. Matter of fact, when I came back here the first time, I paid right at 600.
Wow.
But I'd been there before, and I really, I loved it. And if it was open right now, I'd be living there today. But they finally filled.
So if you came here and you're saying how long we were, I can't remember if you mentioned it in the interview, but we were talking about it before. You came here because of the vlogs and the things you'd seen and the people you'd watched.
Yeah.
How did you feel your first day here? Were you like, wow, this is what they said, or were you disappointed?
Well, like I say, I flew into Manila, and I thought I had a pretty high-end hotel. It was about $70 there in Makati, and I went across the street to get a phone card, and I thought, I'm getting my ass back in that hotel, and I'm not coming out till
really.
It was rough. I mean, there was roughness all. It was an awesome hotel, but there was definitely roughness all around.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only stayed there for one night in transit, so I've never been.
Well, there was a bunch of like beggars and stuff coming up to you every time you tried to go outside, and it was pretty much what I expected, but it was all at the same time. It was all in one way. Yeah. I never watched any videos on Manila. It was all these provinces and Dumaguetes and that kind of stuff. So as soon as I got out of Manila, I was like, oh, okay, this is what I was after. Just the airport ride.
So you were disappointed. Dumaguete was what you thought it was. You hit it, and you thought, "Fucking."
I was a little disappointed. It was a lot dirtier than But anybody does a video from the boulevard, it just looks like this is just. I don't know what these cameras do, but it just looks beautiful, and the water don't look as. I go to the boulevard now, and I'm like looking at that water, and I'm like, there's no way in hell I'd get in that shit. But when you're watching it on YouTube, it just looks like a beautiful place, and there was lots of surprises, but at the same time, nothing just blew me away. Nothing but, it was what I expected.
You weren't expecting a lot, so you weren't disappointed.
Right. That's the best way to explain it.
So where did you go next then? Where have you been in the Philippines?
I've been to Dumaguete, Valencia, Siquijor, Bohol. I just added Boracay, El Nido, and Coron. Of course, I've been to Angeles City.
What was Angeles City like?
I've been there 3 times, but I'd only stay for 3 or 4 days at a time, so I liked it. But there was certain places that, every time I've been, I've stayed at Poppy's Bar and Chill there in Angeles, so I followed him. He was a vlogger that started out in Mexico too, and so I got to go meet him, and so now I just pop in and say hi. I'll stay for 2 or 3 days, and checked out the Sin City part of it, and it is what it is.
Well, you've been 3 times, so you must like it.
Yeah. Well, it's a whole lot better in Manila, and I've never flew into Clark. It's like an 1.5, 2-hour bus ride from Manila to Angeles, so I always usually just hop on a bus. But something about being way down here in Dumaguete, knowing your plane's going to leave the next day, I always like to get there 3 or 4 days earlier. And after staying in Manila, in that area, I figured I'll just pop in and check that out a lot. I think I've been to that walking street twice. The last time I didn't even go down there.
They got Walking Street, have they?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
What do you think of Siquijor? You weren't impressed with Siquijor, were you?
I wasn't really impressed the first time I went. Not so much the next 2 times.
Because I watched a couple of your videos. Maybe it was the second time. You weren't glowing about the place when you were there.
It wasn't what I remembered, and then I've been back since, and it wasn't. I don't know. It's grown. It's getting.
It's a lot bigger.
Yeah, it's getting. It'll probably be your
San
next
Juanes anyway. Yeah. San Juanes. Yeah.
That's what.
So, which is the favourite place you've been to then so far? And when I say favourite, because I've said many times in my videos, there are some places that you wouldn't necessarily want to live there. You know what I mean? So I have some places I think are better, but in terms of where is the place you're most likely to settle now, and where is the place that you've been which you've enjoyed the most for say a week's holiday? You know what I'm saying to you? Like the kind of.
Well, and don't take this the wrong way. Once you've seen a beach, you've kind of seen them all. Or
I'm exactly the same, mate.
I'm just not impressed with beaches and getting paid paying triple what you should be paying for any of these other
Yeah, I
beaches.
agree
You know?
entirely, mate.
So I'm not probably one to ask, but I'd say city-wise or big town, whatever you call Dumaguete, this is. I guess it's while I'm here. Why I'm here. This has been, and I don't know if it's because it's the best or if it's just because it's more familiar to me. Like I say, I came here the first time, so I knew what I was coming back to. I've been to all these other places, and I've only been there once, so they're pretty much all brand new to me, except for like Angeles and Cebu. I stayed in Cebu for a month. Couldn't wait to get out of there. Matter of fact,
Really?
yeah,
Because of the traffic.
traffic and just too many people. I just don't like. I don't know.
Well, it's been one of the most extraordinary things about this channel, because I have never met anyone who's got a good word to say about Cebu. But it's full of expats,
Yeah.
and my old mate Ray, who's a good friend he's living there and he's enjoying it.
Yeah.
So it's like, I don't know who you meet here, but you seem to meet people that just don't like Cebu,
Right,
but
right.
the people there love it. It's so strange, isn't it? I've never met anyone who's got a good word for it. They all say the traffic.
And a bunch of that is location. I got a condo. I'd never been to Cebu before. I got a condo, and I thought I was getting it right there at the mall, and I wound up being just far enough that you could walk it, but it would be you'd be war plumb out by the time you got there. Probably a mile or two away from there. So every time I went around the mall, you know, that's another deal. They love malls in Asia. You've been to one mall, you've been to a mall, I think.
Yeah, I feel the same way. But I know I've got some big
But
malls, so.
I get it. I get that, you know, because if you're hanging out in the mall, you're liable to somebody will probably walk up to you and proposition you or whatever. And like I say, it's probably easier to date there. I'd say.
I have heard that, true. I've
So-
heard that.
so,
I've heard that.
But like I say, I when I was there for a month, I came to Dumaguete and went out on a little 2-week adventure, and then went back and was ready to get back to Dumaguete. So.
Okay, but during this time as well, I know from your channel, you've been going other places, haven't you? You've been to Vietnam and you've been to Thailand.
Yeah. Matter of fact, I got here. I came back. I was first time to the Philippines was about, I'd say August of last year, maybe July. I can't remember. I stayed about 2.5 months. I was here for a month. Went to Thailand for a month, and then came back and waited to fly out. So.
Where did you go in Thailand?
I went to Bangkok, Phuket, and Koh Phi Phi.
Okay, then went to Pattaya.
Huh? Never went to Pattaya. That's on my list. I would like to.
What did you think of Thailand?
I liked it, but like I say, I was in total vacation mode. You know,
Right.
I didn't stay long enough to really.
Just travel.
Yeah, travel. But people talk about the Philippines beaches. I don't think they have nothing on Thailand beach. Of course, I've only been to, like I say, Phuket and Koh Phi Phi. But those places are like magical. I don't know how to explain it. These are just like, I don't know.
This is the trouble with YouTube, mate, because I have this all the time. You know, I'm not really a beach person, but I have made comments about I think some beaches are better than others, and they'll turn around and say, you don't know because you haven't been to this and you don't know what you're talking about. And you think, well, nor do you, mate, because you may have been to 15 beaches in the Philippines, but you haven't been to 15 beaches in Thailand. You know,
Right.
You know, you can only base it on your
Right.
own experiences.
Right.
It's like so many experts on that.
Well, I went to that Koh Phi Phi, and I only stayed one night there because I was about to fly back to Bangkok. I'd stayed in Phuket for like 10 days and did the little boat tour to Phi Phi. And I'm talking about, it was just magical. I mean, it was something you'd see in a movie. There was no cars, no trucks, I don't know if they did it all with golf carts or what, just pretty much walkways. And it was like a whole little city. And it would probably got old after a few days, but like I say, I was there for one night, so I was kicking myself in the ass, thinking I should have came here for at least 3 or 4 days, you know. And I went out on a couple of boating expeditions. It was just beautiful. It was majestic compared to what I've been.
There is
been to.
a certain something about Thailand.
Yeah.
There is a magical.
Yeah,
magical
it
feel about
really.
some places. Again, I'm going to get some shit for this now, but my own personal experience, I have come to the conclusion, rightly or wrongly, I've only been to a few places. I think the best beaches in Thailand beat the best beaches in the Philippines. But I think the best waterfalls and that are definitely in the Philippines.
Well, see,
Because I've not seen many, but I've seen some amazing waterfalls in the Philippines.
Right,
I can
me
understand
too,
that as
man.
some mountain things and that. I mean, that's,
Me too. And like I say, I don't think I went to a waterfall in Thailand, but
there aren't that many. There aren't
but
that many.
here there's
Everywhere.
dozens on every island. So when I first got here last year, I was on like a little waterfall kick, and hell, there's probably 5 of them around here. You know, even Sikihor. I went to 2 or 3 at Sikihor. So.
Hello, how you doing?
Hello.
Good to see you. Yeah, well, there you go then. So what do you think of Vietnam?
I like it. I like it. Of course, like I said, I traveled the whole time. I'd watched a bunch of videos about motorbiking the Ha Giang Loop and all of Vietnam. So that was my plan when I got over there. Kind of went about it wrong. I landed right in the middle of the country. I landed in Da Nang, and so probably cost me an extra flight or extra plane ticket. If I was to do it over again, I'd probably start. No, I'd probably go to the north, Hanoi or whatever, and just stay up there. It's beautiful up in that part. I flew from Da Nang. I think it was Da Nang. No, I guess I flew from Hanoi to Saigon or Ho Chi Minh City because I thought I'm not going to come to the Vietnam and say I've never been to Ho Chi Minh City or whatever. So I made a special trip down there, stayed about a week, and that was probably the worst part of my Vietnam experience.
Really?
It wasn't bad, but it had nothing on the my favorite was probably Da Nang and I don't know, there's several little towns. It's definitely touristy, but you can get away from that, like say Da Nang, and the cost of living is super cheap. I mean, you stay at really nice hotels for $10-15 a night. And
I'm thinking about going because it's interesting you say that. I'm very interested in I'm interested in everything you've said, but I'm interested in that because I was talking to my girlfriend Ellen about going, and I kind of had in my head if we go to Da Nang.
Yeah.
But I have heard a lot of good things about Hanoi. When I was in Cambodia, you met a lot of Australians saying, "Oh, you've got to try Hanoi."
Yeah.
And I was thinking, well, because we're only going to go for like a few days. I thought maybe Da Nang, but
Right.
you're saying
Right.
stay away from Ho Chi Minh City. You're saying.
I didn't like it. Of course, that's my opinion, and and it's just a lot of it's where you land, and maybe I landed in a bad spot. But of course, I didn't do much research. I got on YouTube and said, "Where's the best?" They're divided into districts and whatnot, and so. But Da Nang, it's pretty self-explanatory. You just hit the beach and cheap, and it's just it's a
Very cheap, but what I've seen, very cheap hotels,
yeah,
very cheap.
Yeah, and
cool.
went to several different towns. I went to too many to mention, but I did the Hue and the Hoi An and I was on a motorbike. I motorbiked most of it. I'd say from Da Nang all the way to China. I rode on a motorbike pretty much the whole thing.
Nice. So what did so when did you start the YouTubing? That you were doing that while you were over there, were you?
When did I start what?
The YouTubing. I mean, you started that in Mexico, like kind of like as a part-time kind of thing.
Well, I actually started that probably. I was living in Amarillo, Texas, and I just playing around, trying to lose weight. I was going to just monitor my weight loss deal. That's the reason. That's the reason I. But at the whole time, I was watching these videos, thinking I'm fixing to go to the Philippines, and this is probably 2019, about I don't know, November or so, and so I'm already. I've bought my passport. I'm looking at tickets to come to the Philippines, and then you know what happened. So I just kind of throw the YouTube channel on the shelf, and every time I'd go to Mexico, I'd break it out and do videos. So.
Okay, because now it's like kind of a full-time thing, isn't it? You're doing it every day, like virtually, you know. Posting.
Yeah. I try to do every other. I really enjoy doing it, so I don't want it to turn into work. I do it. It's pretty much therapeutic for me to talk to. I don't know why. It don't make no sense, but it kind of relieves stress, and I get to share. I've got lots of family and friends watch my videos, and that was the main reason. Like when I was in Mexico, I was showing them the sights, and I came to the Philippines with like 200 and something subscribers 6 months ago, and I've got over 2,200 now. people love the Philippines. I mean, they
Well,
love
you've done incredibly well. What people like about the Philippines, I mean, the reason I watch your channel is you're like I would like to be, in a sense that we're honest. We just talk about our experiences. You know what I mean?
Right.
We're not trying to sell people on anything.
Right.
You're not. You just say this happened to me. This is my opinion of it. You know, it's what happened.
Right.
You know, you're not saying anything else.
and it's funny you should say that, because when I found your channel, that's exactly what I thought. I thought, this guy's not blowing it up. Matter of fact, he's probably a little disappointed in it. Kind of. Then you was trying to figure out if you wanted Sicky Horror or Doomageddon, but you wasn't blown away by it, and you was telling the truth instead of, oh, this is just the.
Yeah, well, that's why I watch your channel. I'm not going to knock any of the guys who've been here a long time, because I know where they're coming from. Because I struggle to think of things to talk about now.
Yeah.
Because you're travelling.
Yeah.
You've got experiences you can talk about that I'm not having at the moment.
Right.
So I can understand where they're coming from, because if you've been doing it for 4 years and you're
Right,
talking
right.
about, you're going to run out of shit to talk
Well,
about.
you'd
So
think,
you've got
there's one or two that have something every day, and I'm thinking, where's he come up with this shit? It's got to be just the same. Of course. And then they go to contradicting themselves and say, hey, buddy, you need to take a break. But I get it too, because I've made videos and then I've made one a month later and my opinion's totally changed. So
I change all the time. Yeah.
So I get that too. And what I think today may not be what I think tomorrow. And
But that's good. It means you're open-minded.
yeah,
I mean, that's the way.
Yeah, but a bunch of people don't see it that way. They will, blah, blah,
Yeah, but screw
blah.
them. Screw them.
Yeah.
There's nothing worse, I think. And again, I'm not. I mean, I love my subscribers and that pick channels, but what I would hate to get is entrenched like some people, and they're stuck in this. And anyone who questions what they say is the enemy, and it's got to be this way.
Right.
You've got to change your mind. That's why people move around. That's why people live in cities and they change. Things change.
That's how I feel about it too. And I don't know. It's pretty comical to watch some of it, because they get tore up.
Oh, they do.
And these people that sit around and just, it's like you've got the YouTube police to just look for any little thing to, like a lot of times I'll try to tell them like what stuff costs or whatever, and I may say $100 when I meant to say 100 pesos or something, and they'll just turn. I mean, they will crucify you. I don't even correct it. I just put a little heart on them, acknowledge that I've seen it, and thumbs up. And
it's very hard not to misspeak.
Yeah.
I do it all the time.
Yeah.
You don't realise you've done it. But there you go. But you're saying now like it's just a hobby, but the way you're going, the way you're growing, this could be a full-time job if you keep on it.
Well, I don't want it to be a full-time job. I like to enjoy it, and I've noticed what you're talking about. I don't want to, because I've thought to myself, it's been 4 days since I made a video. I need to think of something, and I don't want to be just talking to talk. You know what I mean? I want to have something to show or something to say, and I've got lots of subscribers that have been with me for a long time. That just, I don't know why, but they just like to hear me ramble, I guess, because a lot of times when I
Thank
started,
God for them.
yeah, and so I need a swimming pool to give them more of what they want. 'Cause a lot of my videos, I would just be out by the swimming pool and chilling and telling how my day went or what I had planned or that kind of stuff. So, but I after you have a video that does good or whatever, it's hard not to get caught up in the man. I want the views, or I want the, and so I've probably put out some shit videos trying to just thinking, hey, it's been 4 days. Because if you're not consistent, YouTube algorithm will just blow you off too. You know, I learned that. I would vlog for a month straight in Mexico, and then they wouldn't see me again for 6 months. So I understand that it is entertainment. I guess people want.
Well, I find it therapeutic. I
do too.
When you're in a relationship like when I lived in Thailand, I wish I'd YouTube then. Because the village I lived in, no one spoke English. So it's like, my Thai ain't great, so there were times, you'd want to talk, see it Skype, but if I'd had YouTube then, I'd have been just relieved to be able to talk English for an hour.
Right.
People listen.
Oh, I get it.
But there you go. So what are the plans then, Brent? What are you going to do now?
I really don't know. I plan on doing more traveling, seeing more of the Philippines and several of these other. I've seen you've talked about Cambodia. I'm thinking if I'm all the way on this side of the world, I would like to, maybe not for a month at a time, but some of these places look like, I've seen a full circle you could do, just starting, with Malaysia or Indonesia, Malaysia. I don't really care for Singapore, or I don't know if anything's at Singapore, but I've never been there, but just making the loop, hitting Thailand,
But I mean, what do you, I mean, you're going to travel while you're here, but I mean, what are your long-term plans? I mean, you still got the farm in America. I mean, are you going to live here permanently eventually, or somewhere in Asia, or will you go back? Or
right now, I don't know what I'm doing. That's the. I didn't plan on being in Dumagetti this long. I messed around and kind of started dating an old gal, and she kept me here longer than I had planned to stay here. I was actually going to keep traveling and go that route, but we called it quits. So now I'm either going to hit the road or I don't know. I don't know. I picked a hell of a time. Rainy season and traveling on a motorbike's I'm not looking forward to that. So I don't know, man. I'm going to be in Dumagetti for at least another month, and if it's raining every day like it's been, I'll be here another 2 months or 3 months. But as far as settling down, I would like to see more of the Philippines before I lock myself down. And all this could change tomorrow. You know what I mean?
of course, good. Well, mate, I think you've got the right approach. You know, you're just, you know, in 10 years' time, you could be back in the States, you could be in Cambodia, you could be anywhere. You'll see how things go.
And I like to keep an open mind and not have plans is what I really enjoy myself a lot better if I don't have plans really. And of course that's why I don't have a girlfriend now, is because I can't commit to nothing, and at the same time I don't want, you know, I didn't want it to get too serious.
I didn't know you didn't have one. I read the last couple. I thought you did the last
well,
couple days.
Well, I did. But our last little vacation deal was kind of a grand finale, kind of a last hurrah type of deal.
And she knows that, does she? I can put the video up.
You bet. I wish her the best.
I don't have to wait for a week.
She's a good old gal, but it just wasn't in the cards.
Okay. Well, I've enjoyed the chat, mate. I really appreciate you sitting down with us. You told us about the channel. I'll put the link in the bottom. I do recommend anyone goes over to his channel because he's, as I say, it's genuine, from the art, real experiences of what happens to him. Is there anything else you'd like to say?
You're done.
Well, again, appreciate it, Brent. Been a great interview. You're an interesting chat, and best of luck in the future with your channel and whatever you decide to do.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. If you haven't subscribed, why the hell not? Come on, what's wrong with you? Don't cost anything. But whether you do, whether you don't, whether you are, stay safe, be lucky.